Hi, everybody. It's Gene Simmons, and you're not, and you're listening to the Potter Than Hell podcast with Steve, BC, BB, and Dylan. But you knew that, didn't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is your last stop on the crazy train of hard rock and heavy metal. So sit back, buckle in, and hang on. Here we go.
Hello, Potter Than Hellions. Welcome back to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is Steve, your host. I'm joined as always by
BC
and
Dylan,
our keyboard player.
Yeah, usually you say keyboard player.
I know. I got messed up though. But Dylan is our keyboard player. He's here
that's
also.
That's me.
And we got a guy pinch hitting today. Great guest. We had him on the show before. Glad to have him back, Mr. Pete Cecere from the I Love It Loudcast. What's up, Pete?
Hey guys, how you doing? And thanks for giving me a jingle. This is a very nice surprise for my evening.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for stepping in. We had another guest host planned for this evening, but he was unable to make it. He's not feeling well. Chris, hope you're feeling better.
Something suddenly came up.
So yeah. And BB actually is working tonight because actually he was BC's relief, so BC could come tonight. So we're all kind of jazzed up here tonight. We are right in the midst of Vanuary.
Or Jan Halen.
Jan Halen. Yeah, I like that too.
Ooh,
That was cool.
I like that.
I never even thought of that. That was cool. You said that,
that
right?
was BC. Yep.
I do like that. Jan Halen or Vanuary. I really like that. I wish you fucking had that brain fart like weeks ago, a month ago would have been good.
Spontaneous.
Yeah, and last week was our episode with Steven and Sonny and Chris for the lead up for the Monsters of Rock cruise. So we interrupted the what was it? Jan Halen.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle of Jan Halen in Vanuary. And so hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you checked out part 2 on the Growing Up Rock podcast with Steven and Sonny. And it was myself and Chris Granza also on that with them, part 2. That was a lot of fun doing that. I hope, Pete, with you on this week, that I'm not going to have to get a protection from abuse order from you.
Gee, I don't know, dude.
Because on the last Van Halen episode, my life was threatened. So and actually we're recording this the day before that episode comes out, so you guys will have heard that by now, but Pete hasn't, so I'm not going to spoil anything else for him. But
So
my life was threatened.
Is that what they call a tease, the biz? Is that a tease?
I guess so, yeah.
Nice little tune in next week.
Even
though it'll be
it'll be last week.
Yeah. Or 2 weeks ago.
Pete, you tune in tomorrow. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, so we enjoyed out doing those episodes, and we did have a little bit of angst, a little bit of hatred going back and forth in the last Jan Halen episode with Jen and BB and BC and myself.
And Dylan.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that's right.
I was there.
And Dylan. So this week we're going to be singing praises this week, for the most part, because there may be a little something that is not great, but for the most part we're going to be talking about happy stuff here. Are you happy, BC? Yeah. BC does not look happy tonight, by the way. He's got the
He's a newlywed. He's supposed to be happy.
I know. Turn that frown upside down, BC. God damn it. All right. So before we get rolling into the episode, let's talk a little bit about what we're listening to. And Pete, since it's been a while for you to have been on the show, what do you got going?
Well, I have been in a YN rabbit hole, and let me preface that by saying not actual Y&T, going way back to their roots when they were called Yesterday and Today. I've picked up both their first albums, the new album on London Records that came out in '76, and then the second album is called Struck Down that came out a couple years later. And these are records that you can really find readily. I had to order them. They cost me a pretty penny. But man, a young Dave Meniketti, just to hear them when they were just getting going, both albums, like, seriously kick ass. If you can find these or pick these up, it's well worth it. I mean, we all know, Dave still sounds amazing to this day, but just to hear his guitar playing in its infancy and just how great his vocals were even back then. And dudes, if you haven't picked up that YNT DVD documentary, it's awesome. I mean, really good. I've watched it 2 or 3 times. It's like the regular disc is 2 hours, and there's like a 2-hour bonus disc. And it's really good. So I've been kind of in a YNT rabbit hole.
Awesome. And I haven't heard those first 2 albums. Have you heard them, BC?
I heard the second one, not the first one.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to check out. I mean, like they still do a couple songs live every now and then from them, don't they?
Yeah.
There is a song, "Struck Down," that they do, right? That's one of the songs, right?
The title track of the second album. And actually, the first version of Earthshake is on the very first album. And I think the 20 Hours a Day, which they still play every now and then. Yeah, just straight ahead bluesy rock. I mean, it's just really good stuff. It's cool stuff.
Excellent. Yeah, I really I enjoy YNT, and I was wondering how that documentary was. I didn't get a chance to order that yet, so that's very cool. BC, how about you?
I'm just checking out some Van Halen, getting ready for tonight.
All right, that's acceptable. How about you, Dylan?
I'm sick, so I tend to jump all over the place when I'm sick listening to stuff. I was listening today to some Mastodon. I was listening to some Power Trip, really good thrash band, and some out of format stuff as well. But those are the 2 in format stuff I was listening to today, at least.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I've been checking out the new songs there's like 3 songs released from the Dirty Shirley album that's coming up. New song from Black Swan. That's really cool. And a band that I checked out, I've been discovering a ton more albums that were out last year that I didn't even get a chance to check out or even heard of before. There's a band called The Ferrymen, and the album's called A New Evil. Friggin' great metal album. Absolutely love it. And I spoke last week about the Royal Republic, Club Majesty. I've been rocking out to those guys. It's such crazy music. It's awesome. That's pretty much it. I've just been kind of dabbling back and forth with some albums from 2019 that I didn't really get a chance to check out last year. But really some really good stuff that I missed, and it's easy to miss stuff because there's so much out anymore. It's just crazy. So what we're listening to, I got some Royal Republic and some newer albums that I didn't get a chance to listen to last year. Black Swan coming out and Dirty Shirley coming out this year. BC's still rocking some VH. Dylan's got some Mastodon and some Power Trip going, and Pete is down deep in the YNT rabbit hole. Before we get into the news, I want to talk real quick about this will be old news by the time you guys listen to this, but it just happened actually yesterday. We're recording this on the 9th of January, and David Lee Roth had his debut of his Las Vegas residency. And before we get into the discussion, did you see any of the videos, BC?
Yes.
Dylan?
I have not.
No, I know Pete did, and and I saw some myself. But I'm going to give you the set list before we kind of delve into this a little bit. Open up with "You Really Got Me," then "Big Train." Cool song. That's a real cool song. I like that. Unchained, Just Like Paradise, Atomic Punk, Dance the Night Away, Mean Street, California Girls, Tobacco Road, Jamie's Crying, Beautiful Girls, Panama, Ain't Talking About Love, Encore was Just a Gigolo, and Jump. Now, there are videos out there of this performance. There's actually a couple different videos from different angles and stuff like that. What do you think, BC?
From what I saw, I mean, not bad, but I mean, he's getting a lot of people bitching, bashing him in the ground. I mean, hey, he's fucking 5, right?
Something like that.
He's none of us are what we used to be in anything. I take it for what it's worth. The band's great. He's Dave. You know what I mean? Is it like Dave from the 80s? No, it's not Dave from the 80s, but it's not the 80s. So I see a lot of mixed things. Am I saying it's the greatest thing? No, but I enjoyed it. Fuck it.
All right. What do you think, Pete? Come on now.
Well, I love Van Halen. I love David Lee Roth. Always been one of my top 5 bands. I realize he's 65, but my whole thing is, I look at it this way. He's a professional, and I watched every video. Man, he can't remember. He doesn't remember. Granted, he's never remembered the words, but I just thought it was really, really bad. I mean, I think the band is awesome. Now, I thought the background vocals from the band were pretty good, but I know already some people online are saying those are definitely pre-recorded. Well, who knows? But I thought the band was great. I just think there comes a time where people just got to stop. And I don't know. It was pretty rough. I mean, Unchained was just an absolute train wreck. Just like Paradise was ugly. And I love Dave. I love Van Halen music, but gosh, we're all entitled to an opinion. You know, I'm in a band. I would hope that if I sucked, somebody would tell me. I would hope that, you know, if I had a bad night, somebody would tell me, or don't do that song again. It's out of your range. But it just looks, I don't know, dude. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I just thought it was horrific.
Right. What's your opinion? I know you didn't see it, though, but what's your thoughts on Dave going out there and that?
I mean, I don't blame him for wanting to keep a career going. Dave has never been the best live musician, so I wasn't expecting him to be virtuoso. It's disappointing hearing everybody bashing him, but I don't know. It's almost like, you know, you get a puppy, and you get mad when the puppy runs around and rips stuff up. Like, that's what the puppy does.
It's a puppy.
Dave is a showman. He's not a singer. That's
I guess the thing that bothers me the most is, like, if any of us, and let's be honest, walked into a bar and to go see a cover band and saw somebody singing Van Halen songs that bad, you know we'd walk out, or you know we demand our $5 back. I think a lot of times we get stuck in this, you know, holding our heroes, holding on to them a little too tight. There's nothing. Everybody's got to retire sometime. You know, when Dan Marino couldn't throw anymore, guess what? He stopped playing football.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. You know, sometimes you do need to know when to hang up your hat, and I guess the case could be made that Dave maybe should hang up his hat. Just hang him high.
Hang up his microphone?
Yeah, hang up the microphone.
Hang him high. That's a good one.
Yeah. My thoughts. I'm kind of split on this. I love Dave, and Dave is my all-time favorite frontman. Mm-hmm. You know, love Kiss, love Paul Stanley, but I don't think if you take both of them at their height, I don't think even Paul Stanley could touch David Lee Roth. He was never, ever a great singer live, okay? I love how he sings on the albums, absolutely love it. But I really think that, and I'm just talking back in the day now, that Dave's charisma overrides, and his stage presence overrode him singing. I don't think I heard anybody, you know, no one ever, I don't think, walked away from a Van Halen or David Lee Roth solo show saying, boy, did he sing fucking great tonight. I don't know if I don't think that sentence has ever been said, other than, like, you know, like now just saying, for instance. I'm glad Dave's there, and as far as Dave opening for Kiss, I'd rather see him than some guy fucking Paint. I really would. I would rather see that. I'm glad that at least the music is being done justice.
Well, and it's actually kind of interesting because it is a similar case to Kiss, where, like,
it is.
The music is good and the show is good. But the
singing, those two guitar players are smoking.
Right, they tore it up, absolutely.
The singing is the problem for both of them.
Yeah, but at least Dave's not pretending, though.
No, he's definitely singing.
You get Dave. You know what I mean? You get Dave. You're not getting Dave with help. You know what I mean? And I give it to him for that. And if there was a
credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, if there was another reason for me to go see one of these Kiss shows, I would go to see Dave. I really would, because I love Van Halen, and you know what? And he is, even though, hey, he's not bringing it, whatever, he's still charismatic. I'm glad he grew hair back too.
He looks great.
He does. He looks great. Shit, I look 100 times worse than that, and I'm 25 years younger. But I love Dave. You know, and I know people do it with Paul Stanley, give him a pass. I give Dave a pass on this. I love him. But like I said, he's genuine up there. He's not pretending. He's not getting help. He's got a kick-ass band. And, you know, and people are there for the songs. People are there for the songs. But one thing I didn't notice, Pete, I don't know if did you or BC, did you notice? Could you tell any crowd reaction from these videos? I didn't really notice.
I couldn't.
Because they're pretty close up on them.
Yeah, a lot of the songs cut off like either just before the song was ending, or I couldn't gauge it. There was no shots of the crowd, and again, like you said, the songs are awesome, and there is that nostalgia factor. And you're right, there was nobody cooler than David Lee Roth in the 70s and 80s. Nobody.
Yeah, like I said, for as much as I love Kiss and Paul Stanley, he could not come. Send all the hate mail to potterthenhellpodcast at gmail.com to Steve. But no one could touch him back in that day. Just could not touch him. Just watch those videos we talked about them on the last Van Halen episode. Just go back and watch those videos from 1981, the Fair Warning tour. Just amazing. Just like awesome. That. He is the fucking man. So,
have you guys seen any of that unearthed footage from Fresno from 78 and 79? Wow.
Yes.
So
yes.
Good.
Yeah, and that was when they played the Civic Center out there, right? That was one of those big shows that like the kind of showcase show that they did, and they're fantastic. And that's like you knew that band, even if you were at that show, you had to be like these guys are going to be huge. So let us know what you guys think out there. Dave, thumbs up or thumbs down or meh or kind of in between. So what we're going to talk about today, what you can tell from the title, which I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I have a couple ideas for you, Dave.
I actually had one. Finger tapping good.
Finger tapping good.
Like finger licking good.
Okay, all right.
You're
I was going to do something.
Okay.
No, I was going to say you could do that and then do like finger tapping good from the Edward the Great or something.
Okay.
Something like that, or just use whatever. So as you guessed, we're talking about Ed Van Halen solos, and I'm going to throw this caveat out there. I don't think you could name one that sucks. There's not. You can't say, oh, that's terrible. You know what I mean? There's that's just not a thing. And it was difficult picking ones because you think. Wow, Van Halen, boom, and that's you think Dave and you think Ed. That's what you automatically think. You think those when you hear that, and solos, they were tough to pick. I was back and forth. Like I could have just thrown a bunch of songs in a hat and just picked one out and said, "Here you go." But we did narrow it down to 6 of our favorites. You can't really say your favorites unless you have a definite favorite, which I do have one. And so Pete. Give us your first 3, and then tell us, your methodology. Even though I want to tell everybody out there that I literally called Pete this morning, and asked him if he could come on the podcast. So he only had a little bit of prep time, so not as much as we did, because we knew we were doing this episode.
Well, being a huge lover of Van Halen and listening to these albums like a million times as a kid, all the way through now to the beautiful 53-year-old person that I am. It wasn't too hard. I mean, like you said, Eddie Van Halen, when that first album came out, he changed guitar playing. He changed the whole landscape of guitar playing. I mean, I didn't include Eruption because obviously that was the game changer. That made everybody rethink the instrument, and that's the cream of the crop solo of all time. And like you said, dude, there's way too many to choose from. I mean, there's not a bad solo. There's different kinds of solos and different moods, but the dude is just a master, an absolute master, and can still play to this day. But so we going bottom to top, dude? Is that how we're doing it?
Yeah, or if you just have favorites, you could, however you want, just tell us how you're going to go.
Okay.
And
so I'm going to go from the bottom. So at the 6th position, I had off of 1982's Diver Down, Secrets. I mean, it's just, although the only way I can describe this is just tasty. It's restrained in spots, but it's just perfect. It's almost, I'll use the word pretty to describe it. It's just absolute magic. I love it. In the number 5 position off the same album, actually, off Diver Down, Cathedral, because, it's not always just about Eddie's playing and his flashiness, just technology-wise, what he did with the instruments. Like Cathedral is all volume, knob, and echo, and it's so cool. And it's like, who is doing that? Nobody. And then number 4, off 1981's Fair Warning, is Sinner's Swing. I mean, about 136 in, man, that just the fingering at just lightning speed. It's like, holy Christ! If I was a guitar player and listening to that for the first time, I just give up.
Here you go. Here's your guitar back.
Yep. I'd return it to Guitar Center.
All right, cool. Dylan, what do you think about those picks?
The one that I really enjoyed you picking was Cathedral. I love how he does the volume knobs to make it almost sound like an organ. You really get a sense of, even if you didn't know the name of the song, you'd be like, oh, this is kind of church-like. There's an element there that I can get, and I really appreciate that Eddie Van Halen could use his instrument to do really interesting things like that, and this is a really good display of that. Sinner Swing, I think one of the most aggressive Van Halen songs.
Yeah.
I love the solo in it. That album is fantastic, and I mean, we've said nothing but praises for Fair Warning since the Vanuary started, and that song is no exception. And as I always say, the one song that Dave curses in.
Yeah, the famous drop tuning album. Again, that was he changed again.
And Secrets, I don't remember as much because I don't go back to Diver Down as much as any of the other albums.
You should.
I just go to Little Guitars and Big Bad Bill and Happy Trails, and that's it.
Oh, you gotta love the Full Bug on there. Come on
Full
now.
Bug's good too. Yeah, Full Bug's good.
Full Bug's awesome.
You even get a harmonica solo now.
Yeah.
All right, what do you think of those, BC?
I love all those picks. I mean, Cathedral. That made my ultimate my 20 list of 27 solos. Sinner Swing, like you said, I like that song just because it's, I guess you would say, heavy Van Halen. Mm-hmm. And Secrets, I'm drawing a blank on that for right now.
Okay.
Forgive me.
All right. I thought they were great picks. Secrets, that was just off of my list, too. I think that's a great song, and people that think Diver Down sucks are crazy. I think it's freaking great. I know there's a ton of cover songs on there, but like Van Halen does, they make it their own. But Secrets is a fantastic song from there. Sinner Swing is great. Like you, I think Dylan said, or one of you guys said, is like one of their most aggressive songs. I totally agree. Just a great song. And Cathedral, just like so cool how that is. And actually, I saw them in 1984, and that was when he had the little board on the back of his guitar where he could flip it up and play it kind of like a sitar. And he did Cathedral, and it was really cool when he did that. I think they're excellent picks, and I'm glad that we have a little Diver Down love here. All right, BC, why are you going next, buddy?
I have no order.
Okay, throw them out there.
I gotta go
Throw the wall. See what you
You're out of order, BC. You're out of order.
I'm probably getting slack for this one, but I like Jump. It's a guitar and then the
keyboards.
You said solos.
Yeah.
What kind
no,
of?
No, absolutely.
And no matter I hear the song driving down the road in my truck or anything, I just and even the key part catches your ear and
And he did play the keys.
it draws you in. And there's a name for the keyboard he played, but
It's called the keyboard.
no, but there's actually. But I really like that one. Then DOA, Hugging DOA is another great song. I don't know how to explain soloing because I don't play guitar, so to me,
It's a standout.
it's got to stand out with the music in the background too. Anybody can wail away on a guitar, but nothing in the background would be great.
It's the Oberheim OBXA
Thank you.
synthesizer.
So I could say that 3 times.
Gesundheit.
Yeah.
But it's just it has to be the music in the background. It's an overall thing, and to me,
It's got to fit.
it's got to fit. And I mean, okay, so where am I? And then 1 foot out the door. I just love. I mean, that's the longest solo I think on. For almost like a
Shortest
but
shortest
basically-
song, longest
shortest song,
solo.
Basically, the
longest solo,
song is the solo.
yeah, like a minute and
Yeah,
5.
yeah, it is.
But that is
it's
just
over
like-
half the length of
Do you
the
know
song.
what I mean? It's not like just tapping. It has to catch my ear in a way that like has some.
It's got the holy fuck factor
Yeah, not only just the holy fuck, just like okay, yeah.
in the feel.
Because there's not, like I think Peter said, there's not a bad solo. Look, you can pick anything out of there. But some of them are very short, I think, and just
Yeah.
like it has to have some kind of.
It's got a little
metally
meat, got some
and-
meat to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to have something to it, and especially the drums and the bass in the background make a big difference in my book.
Absolutely.
What's amazing is, like, you think about it, like, okay, if you were a decent guitar player, you can go listen to his stuff and probably learn it. But this dude came up with all that stuff. I mean, think about it. It's one thing to be able to play, mimic somebody, but the genius of him coming up with all this stuff is mind-boggling.
Back then.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead, Pete. What do you think about the BC's picks?
BC's picks are awesome. As a matter of fact, DOA I had on my list. It was I had like a list of like 12 that I just kept change, and I even changed one at the last minute when I was talking to you this afternoon. But yeah, all great picks. What's weird about Jump too is it's like one of those songs like, okay, it's their biggest hit, it's their biggest one that's played on the radio all the time, but if it comes on, I never skip it because it's just awesome. Yeah, I think very solid pick.
Yeah, great picks, BC. What do you think, Don?
Yeah, for the popular song that it is, Jump has a really meaty solo. And I do love that it goes from the guitar solo right into the keyboard solo. Like, it's very much like a very cool. It's almost like you could picture Geddy Lee going from bass to keyboard to bass. It's like seeing Eddie, guitar, keyboard, guitar.
Like you said, like no matter how many times you hear it, you don't fast forward through it.
Yeah,
like you hear some songs that are always on the radio, you zip through it. I never zip through Jump.
Yeah, and One Foot Out the Door is a great ender to an amazing album. It is mostly solo, which with some bands you're like, okay, let's get on with it. But for Eddie Van Halen, he does it well.
He did it well, not crazy, but not just.
Yeah, exactly. And Dead or Alive is a fantastic song. I talked about how much I like that song. I think the majority of us picked that for our Van Halen songs.
Right.
Last 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, for me, One Foot Out the Door, I love it. It's like a 2-minute song. The solo, it just like friggin' takes off like a goddamn rocket. It's a shred fest, but it's like it totally fits. It's not like Yngwie, like kind of bullshit, but it just yeah. And I like it too because there's a change of pace in it too. It picks up a little more, and like he's got some crazy like whammy bar shit going on there too. That's just like. It kills. It just kills. I freaking love it. And DOA, it's got like 2 solos in that song. The first one's pretty much run-of-the-mill Eddie Van Halen solo, but then like the last part, and it's like a short part that just kind of goes to the end part is just great. More great whammy bar shit. And Jump, like this, some of these solos, like the one in Jump, like you can play that in your head, like it just sticks, and it fit, and the keyboard solo part of it just totally enhances the guitar part in that song, I think, and it just makes it all that much more memorable. And in songs like that, they are hits for a reason, and it's got a great beat, the whole song, but the solo is a huge part of that being a hit because it's so memorable. Just absolutely love it. Great picks. What do you got, Dylan, for first 3?
Okay, my methodology for picking was not only how good the solo was, but how it fits in the song, how it helps complement the song, and also at times how the backing of it sounds. Because a lot of times the problem with having one guitarist is it sounds a little empty. But the solos I picked, I liked what the band was doing behind it as well as what Eddie was doing in the forefront. So my first song actually is not a Van Halen song. I'm just going with probably the most popular song besides a Van Halen song that Eddie's ever been on. It's Beat It from Michael Jackson's Thriller. Famously, he gave the solo to them for free. He was like, yeah, here you go. He apparently set the amp on fire in the studio when he was playing this solo. And the one of the producers went, wow, this must be really good. But it's a really fast solo that it works because it's been built up in the song, and there's this little like knocking right before it that works really cool. And it's a blistering solo. You can immediately tell it's Eddie Van Halen, even without knowing that he played on this album at all. Plus, you have Steve Lukather and the guys from Toto as the session band for this album.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
They played on Thriller.
Cool.
Yeah.
Which makes that album even better in hindsight, knowing that. So Beat It's the first solo that I went with. Then I went with Somebody Get Me a Doctor off of Van Halen 2. Again, I really love like the lead into this solo with the and I love the and it goes into this amazing Van Halen solo that just he has the tendency sometimes to overplay. I don't think he overplays on this solo. He plays just the right amount. But it's enough to keep the energy of the song because it'd be really easy to kill the energy after the kind of stop-start intro to the solo, but he keeps it flowing really well, and it goes right back into the song amazingly, so I really love that one. And then my third one is So This Is Love, but not the first solo, that has just like the Michael on the bass and the drums at the end. I love the last solo at the end where there was actually some rhythm guitar behind it, and Dave is doing the "So This Is Love" over it, and it's the solo that basically leads the song out that ends with the because it at times he's only playing one note, but the way he's doing it, it's almost like a call and response to Dave, and it works really well. And then it's kind of a solo straight through to the end that keeps the song in high energy right until you drop off the cliff at the end of the song, which I think it really works to close out another amazing song off of Fair Warning.
All right, cool. What do you think, Pete?
Yeah, beat it. That goes down as one of those stories in the music biz too of regrets. Could you imagine if the royalties he would have got if he actually signed a contract? Not that they needed money at the time, but you got to think that maybe the coke was talking too much at that point. He wasn't thinking straight.
He probably got a day's worth of free blow.
But just crazy, crazy great solo, and legendary guitarist on a legendary album. So, Somebody Get Me a Doctor, man. It just kicks you right in the balls. It's just a total all-out power Van Halen song. I mean, you talk about Dave, probably one of Dave's best performances, background vocals, the whole package. I mean, that's just quintessential Van Halen. And So This Is Love. You guys, well, Dylan, you're a youngster in the group, but when MTV first started, this video was on like every 20 minutes, and I loved it. Remember that live? I think it was a live video. Just so great. That was everything that Van Halen's about. Just love it.
Beat it. I mean, I remember it first came out. I didn't know Eddie Van Halen at the time when I first heard the song. Played the solo on it, so I was like, Michael Jackson, And then when the solo came out, you're like, holy shit, this ain't bad. For Michael Jackson, this is not bad, I'm thinking. And that's before I knew. Later down the road, I later found out, I'm like, oh shit, no wonder I liked it so much. Somebody Get Me the Doctor, classic Van Halen song. And I'm drawing up like a
So This Is Love.
So This Is Love. Like I agree with Dylan on that one. First solo, but the way it fades, and there's more behind it. And I was trying to say that before, but
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for me, Beat It, I was going to pick that fucking song for one thing. And then, because I told Pete, I'm like, I'm like, Beat It. And he was like, then later on, I was like, I'll let him pick that fucking song. But like, total Ed Van Halen signature solo. And like you said, like, you could tell it's him. It's got him written all over it. And I love the little bit before that you hear in a million songs. But it has that sound, though. It just has that quality to it. Yeah. Somebody Get Me a Doctor. I love the intro to it. He starts playing, but then you get the woo-woo. Yeah. Fucking love that. And then the solo just really takes off after that. So This Is Love. The first solo is pretty good, like Dylan said, run of the mill, but really good. The second solo, it's a little hidden underneath the, So This Is Love as it goes out, but it's so good. Back to Thriller real quick for one part. I love the the finger tapping for Eddie and the whammy bar shit he does. But what I really like the most about him is his fast picking. Listen to that fast picking at the end of that solo. Yeah. I love that shit. That's like my favorite part of his playing. Even though he supposedly invented the whatever they call it, the finger tapping shit. Or at least perfected it,
The string scrape at the end to end the solo.
But I just love his fast picking. Absolutely love that, and that's going to be an element in a lot of the songs I talk about. Great picks, though. Really great picks.
I always imagine like him going into the studio to do that, and you got to figure Michael was sitting there, and did Quincy Jones produce that one, Dylan?
Yeah, Quincy Jones produced it.
You just, okay, Eddie, go ahead, and then he plays, and they're like, yeah, that was pretty good. Like, amazing.
You're done. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Good old Quincy Jones.
All right, I'm going to go. Well, I'm the only one left for the first round here.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, I'm going to, and actually, I'll read BB's. I'll read BB's first. I'll give him 3. I don't know which way he went, so I don't know. Okay, Pound Cake he had from Van Hagar. Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge album. He's got that. He's got Big River from
A Different
Kind of Truth. I have it written. It's like right in front of me. And Lost Control from Women and Children First. Just 3 great picks. I think that I forgot about Pound Cake. That solo is freaking great.
That would have been one of my honorable mentions.
Yeah, I mean, and it goes to show whether he's whether it's Sammy Hagar or David Lee Roth or even Gary Cherone singing, the solos are still there. He's that constant in the band. Him and Alex and Michael to a certain extent, mostly vocally, I think for Michael Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Eddie is the staple, and that Alex drum sound is the staple. Big River, that's like a deep ass cut from Another Kind of Truth. It's like the second last song of the album, but it's great. It's a great flowing solo, and I just like a lot of these solos that he changes effects and harmonics on a lot of different parts of the solos. Like there's like different little segments and like a I don't know, whatever 12 bar solo or whatever the hell they however long it is. Lost Control just tears it up on that one. And it's got this kind of like up and down effect when he's playing that solo. I think it's just great.
Yeah. One thing I will say that I really loved about BB's list, and we'll see this going forward as well, how diverse it is. He's got something from every era of Van Halen, and I really enjoy that he took the time and effort to look through and find some gems. You have all the Dave songs.
Huh? That's not true.
Okay, well, anyways, back to BB's picks. Pound Cake is fantastic. For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge is probably my favorite Sammy Hagar Van Halen album, besides 5150. Really good songs. Pound Cake is a really awesome track. Big River, I don't remember. That's one of the songs that I don't remember from a different kind of... Oh, okay. I remember that part of it. I don't remember the solo. And Lost of Control is one of my favorite songs off one of my favorite Van Halen albums. It's such a blistering, punch-you-in-the-face song, and I think the laugh at the end that Dave does kind of sums the song up really well, like that, like manic, because that song is just adrenaline shot. The shot in a Pulp Fiction where he jams the adrenaline needle into Mia's chest. That's basically Lost Control for me, and the solo is blistering, and basically you could call that song also almost a whole solo song because the main riff is pretty like it's tapping. So,
what do you think, Pete?
Yeah, Dylan makes a good point about the variety in BB's picks here and pretty much hitting the beginning, middle, and end. And like you said, I mean, I love both singers, actually. I think both eras I love. I mean, they're just a great band. But you think about it, even when they started to write a little differently, Eddie molded and changed like a chameleon. But there's that, like you said, Steve, that constant, no matter who's behind the mic, you're going to get some great kick-ass music because of, the Van Halen brothers and Michael Anthony throwing in those background vocals. I'm not really familiar with Big River either, but Pound Cake, again, could have easily been on my list. Great. I love the beginning. I love the end, the whole bit. And that's another one of those songs where he's doing little tasty little bits throughout the whole song. And Loss of Control, again, that's dirty Van Halen at its best.
Pound Cake, that was on my list. Like I said, the drill thing, that was the big thing when that first came out. And Lost of Control is on my list. My bulk list, not my final list. But and Big River, I'm drawing a blank on that one too.
Moon River? No.
Easy, Chevy.
Okay. My picks. I'm going with the song from Van Halen 3, Gary Cherone time here. We did an episode on this album. I think back in the summer we did it, and I threw out there. I kind of consider this an album to be like an Eddie Van Halen solo album. I think more or less on this album.
Now,
but
can I guess? Is it How Many Say I?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's got a ripping solo in it. The song I pick is One I Want. The song kind of sucks. It does. I don't like it. I was actually listening to, when I discovered this solo, I was listening to it. I was actually in an orthopedic office down in Philadelphia waiting for my youngest son to come out. He had a shoulder thing or something from lacrosse. And I was just by chance listening to the album, and I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. But like the solo, like when it changed tempos for the solo, it immediately caught my ear, and I'm like, holy fuck, this solo is friggin' great. And like the music leading up to it is has like a kind of a drifting feel to it, but when the solo kicks in, it's got like it sounds like friggin' Monster compared to the rest of the song. It's got different effects during this thing. He's got his he does this pick tapping and whammy bar thing at the same time that is just freaking amazing. The tempo picks up in the solo, and it just kicks ass. It just gets heavier and harder as it goes along. It's like a major bright spot on an otherwise like pale effort for this album. I think it's friggin' fantastic. And I went a little slower here today, guys, for one of my picks. I picked the solo in "I'll Wait" from 1984, and actually, "I'll Wait" solo is the opposite of the one in "Jump," because this one starts with a little keyboard solo, and then it goes into the guitar solo, which I think is really cool. It's not like a whole lot of shredding in this one, but he definitely puts the melody and melodic on this solo, and you don't get that a whole lot from his solos, but this has a perfect mix of melody and shredding, and it's got that keyboard part in the beginning that I think is fantastic. And actually, when Pete, you texted me my list, literally we were going out to dinner, and this song was playing on Sirius XM, Fools, from Women and Children First.
Yep.
And actually, this song's pretty late in the song. The solo's pretty late in the song for like a Van Halen song. Usually you get it about almost perfectly halfway. This one's towards the later part of the song, but it's definitely well worth the wait. It's got that squealing, like right in the beginning of the solo, like friggin' great. And he's just unmatched, Edward Van Halen here. He plays just a few notes of the intro, but it kicks right in. Another home run from King Edward here. Just friggin' fantastic. Love it. Done.
Okay, so Van Halen 3. There's only 3 songs I remember from that album. The first one is How Many Say I, because of how terrible Eddie's singing is, and it's just a bad song. The second one is one that we'll be talking about later. And the third one is One I Want, because of the great lyrics like Pizza Man, Just Want a Slice, Mailman looking more like your daughter. The song's
terrible.
The song is horrible, but I think I remember liking the solo. But like,
Pizza Man.
Pete, you need to go and listen to the lyrics to this song.
I just circled it and put a star next to it so I can do it after we're finished.
They're atrocious, but I think I like the solo in that. Fools, fantastic, off of Women and Children First, one of the best albums. It does take a little bit to get to the solo, but it's a fun trip getting there, and the solo is more than worth the wait, I think. And I'll Wait. It's a good solo in a mellower song for Van Halen that you're not expecting, much like Jump. You don't expect that kind of a solo in the song, but it still works for the tone and tempo that the song's going for. So, good picks.
Right. BC.
The one I want. I'm not familiar with that because I just
Oh man,
I can't listen to it. I just can't listen to the album. I'm sorry.
Superman.
Well, just
He's
skip
looking
to
for Lois.
2 minutes and 45 seconds in the song, and then it'll be
Fat
worth
man,
it. And
he's
then just
ordering
end it at the end.
seconds.
I'll listen to it when I get home. But I never listened to that one. I was going to call an Audible, but you took my Audible, so I'll wait. Like you said, I mean, that's a nice little... Not what you think it would be, like, but again, it catches your ear because it's... For him, it's a little slower.
Yeah, picks up the tempo
Melodic.
a little bit in the song, too.
And then...
Fools.
Fools off. I love that. Like you said, it takes a while to get there,
But also in the beginning of that song, you have that little bluesy kind of
I was
stuff going on in the
say,
beginning
you kind
too.
of get a solo at the beginning.
Yeah.
And a taste.
Yeah, they're bookmarked there pretty good. Pete.
Yeah, so again, Fools, that was going to be on my list also. And I do let you get a couple little pieces there, but like you said, I think the solo almost closes out the song, but it's excellent. One I Want, I got to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever heard it. I mean, I've probably listened to the album twice, so I can't really comment because I don't know anything about it. I'll Wait, actually, I'm in a cover band that we only play 1 or 2 times a year, just a bunch of guys from high school that get together, and that's been in our set for a few years, and it's got a soft spot because I love to watch my guitar player play that. He plays it really well, and like you said, Steve, probably one of the more restrained melodic solos. I mean, there's not dive bombing, not a whole lot of picking. Just fits the song very, very, very well.
All right, cool. So there's our first three from the four of us and BB's also. Sorry, BB, you're not here. And before we get into the gym, the song I'm going to play this week, BC, you are definitely familiar with this. The band is called Widowmaker. It was Dee Snider's first solo project after he left Twisted, after Twisted Sister kind of just imploded. And he brought at the time, drummer with him. Joe Franco was drummer with this. And Al Petrelli, who was he was in Megadeth, he was in Sabotage, it started as a session player, and this guy's just been in on a ton of stuff here. Mark Russell, TSO, yeah. Mark Russell is the bass player. I don't know much about him, but this album is freaking excellent. It's not on Apple Music, and I don't think it's on the streaming stuff, but if you can find it out there, it's definitely worth it. The song we're going to play is Evil. It's just check it out. It's just fucking excellent. So here it is, Evil from Widowmaker. All right, hidden gem time, people, and Dylan, you go first this week.
Okay, my hidden gem is a bit of a twofer. Now, everybody knows that I like comic books, and I recently discovered this one comic that has some cool little things that go along with the comic. So the comic is called Murder Falcon, and it's by the artist and writer Daniel Warren Johnson. And basically the premise of the book is that this guitarist in a metal band, he's kind of shut himself off from his band and from, like, he had a tragedy in his life, so he kind of withdrew from everything. And then these monsters start invading from another dimension, and he's able to control this one monster by playing his guitar. So he has to get his band back together to basically save the world with the power of metal music. And it's a really cool book that deals with the healing power of metal. as much like as a way of coping with life and getting through things and bonding through it, which I think is something that really isn't said a lot about metal. That is really important. There's some stuff in it like a giant mastodon named Halford that's summoned through the playing of Painkiller. So some really cool stuff happens in the book. But the reason why I'm bringing it up as a hidden gem, besides how awesome it is, the author also managed to put together a band to do an EP that goes along with each issue of the book.
Oh,
so
cool.
The band is called Bruticus, Brooticus, and they have an EP on Bandcamp called Shredded to Death, and it's like one song for each issue of the comic. So it's really cool that you could read the book and then also hear about the band that they're talking about in the comic.
It's fun and educational.
Yeah. So, and I always love when there's fictional bands and they put out, much like Steel Dragon, they put out unique songs that is done by a fake band. Or Metalocalypse has a similar thing where you could make this fake band and these fake songs, put them out there and make it real. So I really love that they put in the time and effort to do that. So my hidden gem is the combo of Murder Falcon and the band Bruticus, Shredded to Death.
All right. BC.
Shock the people.
Uh-oh. Grace Potter, right?
My hidden gem is Lawrence Welk.
Lawrence Welk. In the
Florence
bubble machine.
Welk.
And
The
a
bubble
one
machine.
and a two.
No, it's Florence and the Machine.
I was reading
And
this.
now a word from Alka-Seltzer.
I was reading this past week and the history and the person we were talking about this week, and came across this tune. Played it once, played it twice. I even played it 3 to 4 times.
3 times.
It's LL Cool J with "We're the Greatest," which this song has Eddie Van Halen guitar and the solo in it.
Oh, wow.
Travis Barker from Blink-182 on drums,
He's a fantastic drummer.
and it's surprisingly a good song.
Oh, yeah?
The
I never heard
solos. It's kind of like a later version of "Beat It," but with the LL Cool J doing. Like, the solo is very Eddie Van Halen. The drums are. It's
Travis
good.
Barker's one of the best drummers
Yeah.
working today.
I mean,
Yeah, he's great.
he's a great drummer.
Because
and
the ladies love Cool James.
how can you not like LL Cool J?
Yeah. Mama said knock you out.
So,
Don't call it a comeback.
He's
been here for years.
I've been here for years.
But yeah,
Cool.
we're the greatest. It's good song. Check it out.
I'll have to. I never even heard of that. I'll have to check
Right.
that out. What do you got first, Pete? Pete's going to have a wow factor here.
Well, I also have going along with our theme of Eddie Van Halen solos, my hidden gem is an album that Eddie Van Halen did during time off in '83 called Brian May and Friends Starfleet Project. Have you guys ever heard of this?
It sounds a little familiar.
It's essentially Brian May from Queen,
Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen, Alan Gratzer, who was the drummer in REO Speedwagon at the time, Phil Chen, who was Rod Stewart's bassist, and a keyboard player named Fred Mandel. Essentially, it was just Brian May had given these guys a call, said, "Listen, you guys want to come down and just jam." So on the 21st and 22nd of April 1983, these 5 guys got together. They'd only known each other as friends. They'd never played together, and during the course of those 2 days, recorded 3 songs that are kind of long songs, jam type songs, and it's really, really cool. I love there's a song called Starfleet, and which is excellent. You can definitely. I love the trading off guitar parts between Brian May and Eddie. And Brian May goes on the one song called "Let It Out." He goes, "Edward tortures his top string to its audible death and winds up quite naturally on the remaining 5." If you guys haven't checked this out, I don't know how rare it is, and if you can get it, called Brian May and Friends Starfleet Project from 1983. It's really, really cool. Great pictures in the inner sleeve too of them jamming in the studio and just sitting on a couch, and Eddie playing Brian's guitar and Brian playing Eddie's guitar. Really cool stuff.
That sounds really cool.
That sounds interesting, absolutely. I was actually, after I was going to use Beat It, and then Dylan picked it, and then I was going to use Beat It for my gem, and I got ridiculed, so I
You could have
booted
used
that
a cover
out.
version.
But
By like John 5 or Fall Out Boy does a version where John Mayer does the solo.
I wanted to do it. Anyway, I was just kind of cruising around Facebook today, not Facebook, I'm sorry, YouTube, looking at videos and stuff, and this one came up. I actually shared it on my Facebook page. It's from Sakura Yoshida, this young lady from, I'm assuming Japan, has a bunch of videos of her playing guitar. And the one has her doing the Sentinel from Judas Priest, which is my favorite Priest song. Totally, she nails it. It's friggin' excellent. So it's not, it's nothing crazy, but like this girl and she plays both solos in the song. It's fucking excellent. So check it out. So there's our hidden gems. Pete's got the Starfleet Project from Brian May and Friends, and I definitely got to check that out.
Yeah,
Dylan's got Murder Falcon Bruticus, Shredded to Death, the comic book and band EP. BC's got a little LL Cool J. Wow, BC, you're branching out, fucker.
Ladies love cool BC.
That's right. LL Cool BC. And the song is We're the Greatest. It's got our King Edward on there. And I have Sakura Yoshida doing the Sentinel. So check out those hidden gems. I'm sure you can find them somewhere.
Yeah, I think you said she's Japanese, but I think she's Irish. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Or I'm just going to leave that lay on the table there. Let's get back into our picks. And BC, give us your next three.
We'll start off with the Back Together Van Halen with the solo off Chinatown. To me, I think is people are gonna hate me for saying this, but a return to older Eddie Van Halen style. Do you know what I mean? Like with Sammy, it was still great, but it had a different feel to it, I think, on the
Absolutely
Van Hagar albums. So the solo one had more of a
back to form.
Yes. So I like that solo, and then Romeo Delight. How can you? I mean, that's another one with just enough to catch your ear, hold you there, not
keep you there all day.
And there's that's the one. There's two slows in too, and I like the second one is, but that draws you and it catches my ear. That's everything I picked. And I was going to call an audible, but I'm gonna stick with this one. And to me, it's classic. You cannot touch it. Eruption. I mean, nobody picked it. I know it's kind of the hit, but do you fast forward through that song no matter how many times you hear it?
Let it play. Absolutely. Done.
Yeah, good picks.
This song has influenced how many guitar players in the world?
It started like a whole new generation of guitar players.
Chinatown's good. Not my favorite off that album, but it's one of the better songs, I think. Even if it's not my favorite. Eruption. I mean, it's iconic. Like that's a ballsy move, putting a song that's just entirely a guitar solo on your first album as the second track. Like, no, who does that? What kind of person, what kind of ego do you have to do that on your first debut album? Well, your debut album, or your first album.
You hear that for the first time.
You're just like,
yeah.
What the? Because if you think about it, there's no crazy solo in Running with the Devil. It's good. It's melodic.
Running with the Devil doesn't really have a solo.
But it's just gonna. It's just got that kind of melodic thing in there. So there's no real meat and bones solo there.
Yeah.
So this is you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. It blows you away. And Romeo and Delight, I can't say anything bad about Women and Children First. And that's another great song you can point to and be like, this is one of the best Van Halen albums.
Pete.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan, so the answer to who does that, the only guitar player in history that could.
Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen. Because it's not so much balls, it's because he could back it up. It's total bravado, for sure. So, yeah, Eruption is just the gold standard of guitar playing. I remember the guitar player in my band, the guy that I interviewed, had a couple episodes, my buddy Joe Lambert, who he had his entire room plastered with Ace Frehley pictures. And the minute he heard that album, they all came down, and his room was plastered with Eddie Van Halen pictures. And that probably happened to a lot of kids in a lot of bedrooms.
Because at that time, there was nobody who played solo like that.
No, you never even heard anything like that at the time. It was your jaw hit the ground, and that's why, like you said, BC, it's still everybody listens. It's like blasphemous to fast forward to that. Chinatown, the thing I liked about Different Kind of Truth was, number one, I think a lot of the tunes actually were kind of finished leftover demos from the day. But like you said, BC, it just goes to show you that, okay, here's Eddie Van Halen now in 2000, what did they come out in?
2012.
2012. Pretty much saying in every solo, yeah, I can still do this, people. Check it out. Good tune. Romeo Delight is just, that's probably... I think if you go listen to our the Loudcast episode 12 when we did our Van Halen episode. I think that's in my top 10. Just so good, and the breakdown, everything is just tasty.
I absolutely am on board there. Romeo Delight, excellent solo, totally fits the song, just a ripper song. Eruption, we discussed that. It's just untouchable. Eruption. Chinatown, great Uptown song from Different Kind of Truth. I'm glad that album's getting some love because I really dig that album, and
I love it.
How people bash it, I have no fucking idea. I like the it's got like a squealy start to the solo in that. It's just cool, and you get more of that fast picking. Oh my god, I love that, and just really good picks.
Yeah,
I think the different Chinatown in that album gets a lot of bashing because it's just Return of Dave. And of course, I think they're trying to keep it to the level of where Van Halen. You know what I mean?
No.
Dave's back in the band, and okay, Van Halen, and then it's so many years later.
Yeah, and it's I think it's just more of a true return to form for them.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's an excellent album.
I think it's fantastic.
I love the good majority of it.
I do too. There's very little that I don't like on there. Very cool. What do you got, Pete?
Okay, for my going from 654 at my 3 pick, I got Top Jimmy off 1984's 1984. Like a lot of Van Halen songs, you always get a little bit of a teeny tiny taste of a solo at the beginning of a lot of songs. I love the harmonics at the beginning of the song, but this has just got a million like classic Eddie dive bombs, and it's just the whammy stuff is just, it's full of swagger. It's just totally full of swagger. I just love this solo. At number 2, off Van Halen 2, I have Outta Love Again. I love how the beginning kind of, he's got that effect. It sounds like a spaceship, like from an old science fiction movie, like a saucer landing. I love the solo in this because I think somebody else mentioned earlier, it might have been UBC, that it's not only how great the solo is, but combined with that real boogie-woogie stuff that Alex and Michael have going on underneath. I just think it's just stellar. I think Van Halen 2 has got some of his best solos. And number 1, also off Van Halen 2, all I can say is, I'm going to swear, what the fuck? Spanish Fly. It just blows me away. It leaves me speechless in many regards, just like Eruption does.
Yeah, I love all those picks. They're really underrated picks, too, I would say, in terms of solos. Spanish Fly, I love this acoustic riffing, because you always hear him playing, regular electric guitar. Occasionally you'll get the glimpses with, like, Ice Cream Man playing the acoustic, but this one you really get to show how technically proficient he is on the acoustic guitar, because it's a completely different beast to play than an electric guitar. There's a different feedback you get from the strings, and just you can't make the same thing on electric guitar sound good on acoustic, but he manages to bring a certain character to it that really shines in how good of a guitar player he is. And I was talking so much about Spanish Fly, I forgot the other 2 songs.
Out of Love.
Out of Love Again is fantastic. It's a really good underrated song from a great album. Dad says that there's one bad song in that album, but honestly, I don't think there's any bad song at all. And Top Jimmy, again, I'm not as up on 1984, but I do like that song from it quite a bit. It's a really good. It's probably the best song that isn't well known on that album, because that's an album that's filled with like Jump and All Wait and Panama and all these amazing songs, Hot for Teacher, and Top Jimmy tends to be bottom Jimmy from not being well known, but it should be. It's a really good song.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with Jimmy. Love that.
Steve, you're the king.
Thank you. I remember a couple years ago, I think I told the story in another show. My wife and I were driving up to pick up Dylan when he was going to Ithaca College up there. And this song came on. And from all the years that I've been rocking the Van Halen with my wife in the car and in the house, and she had never heard it before, and she goes, and I was proud of her. She goes, "This is Van Halen, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "I never heard this one before." I'm like, "All right, you get points for for noticing that." Love this song. I think it's freaking great. One of the top songs for me on Diver Down. And like I said, I think Diver Down gets a lot of shit. I love it. I think it's great. Out of Love, I love that is just such a cool song. I like the little parts in there. You get the ting, doo, then and then the solo. It's got 2 different solos in it. Just great. Love Van Halen too. And you're wrong, Dylan. There is a shitty song on that album. Talked about
Dylan,
that last
that
week.
shitty song is my favorite song on the album.
Is
I
it
want to
really?
point out that you said Top Jimmy's on Diver Down, but it's on 1984.
Oh, 84. Okay, 84. I'm thinking the Full Bug. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
the
the Full
Full
Bug.
Bug's good
But I
too,
was
though.
talking about Top Jimmy, the song, with my wife. I just had the album wrong. Thank you for correcting me, Dylan.
No problem. Always happy to do it.
And Spanish Fly. There's that fast picking I love, but acoustic. It's friggin' fantastic. Love it.
I'm gonna pick a Spanish Fly. Yeah, I love that song because I'm an acoustic guy out of everybody.
And he's attempted to use Spanish Fly a couple times.
And I tried to use it a few times. And it failed miserably, but I give it a shot. But I love acoustic anything. I'm trying to get Steve into acoustic, but he's fighting me.
I'm still fighting that battle.
Top Jimmy, love that song. That's Top Jimmy. And out of
Out of Love. Out of Love again.
another classic Dave song, I think. I don't think there's a bad, like we said this numerous times to people who are sick of it. There's not a bad Dave song, I don't think.
There's bad
There's
Dave
some,
songs.
well, there's some that are not as good as others. But
There are bad Dave songs.
I'm not talking about last night. I'm talking about, I'm talking about back in the day.
Boom, boom.
Boom.
That was good. That was good.
All right, cool. What we got? Go ahead, Dylan.
Okay. The first song I'm going to talk about in the second half of this episode, we're wandering out west of the California coast, where the folks who know about frostiness stay frostiest the most. With Stay Frosty off of A Different Kind of Truth. A lot of people call it Ice Cream Man 2.0. I'm definitely in that camp. It has that cool start with just like little acoustic and Dave singing to the, just coming up, just snuggling up to you and singing to you directly, and then the band kicks in full. And Eddie does an awesome bluesy solo, but with the Eddie Van Halen fire and fury that is unmatched. I love that song. It's probably my favorite off of the Different Kind of Truth album, besides Out of Space, probably. Next song I'm going to talk about is off of the first album, Van Halen. It's I'm the One. I talked about this in one of my favorite, it's on my Dave Mount Rushmore. And this song is just so fantastic. It's another song that there's a lot of solos in it, but the solo that I want to focus on is the second one right before the doo-wop part, because it comes out of the chorus really well, and it's a blistering thing, but then it also does the do going into the ba-ba-da shoo-doo-wah, which is one of my favorite moments in any Van Halen song, that like the lead up into the doo-wop part, and that solo is such a good blistering thing, and then it just like has that hard cut to a doo-wop and a skiffle beat. It's so iconic. And then speaking of iconic, my last song I'm going to be talking about tonight of my picks is their cover of The Kinks' You Really Got Me off of the first album as well. It's really easy to half-ass a cover. Just look at their cover of Pretty Woman off of Diver Down, where they don't add anything new whatsoever, and it's just by the numbers, in my opinion at least. You Really Got Me, they add the Van Halen character to it. It doesn't even feel like a Kinks song anymore. It's a Van Halen song when they do it. And the solo that Eddie does is probably one of their most iconic solos, I would say, in terms of memorability. It's one of the first Van Halen songs I could remember hearing, besides like Running with the Devil, which doesn't really have a solo. And honestly, it's the first song with a solo that Van Halen put out, if you think about it, other than Eruption, but it usually goes Eruption into You Really Got Me. That's usually how you have to play it, because you can't just listen to Eruption without going into and there's so much character and attitude to the guitar playing in that song as a whole. It just feels like a punk kid walking down the street with a safety pin in his ear, just ready to punch somebody in the face that gets in his way. And the solo really is the culmination of that. And it honestly, I think it sums up Eddie Van Halen as a guitar player as a whole.
BC.
You Really Got Me. That's classic. Classic Kinks, which I have to agree with Dylan on that one. They give a little Van
flavor.
Halen spice on
Yeah.
it, or flavor in. Stay Frosty, one of my favorite songs off Different Kind of Truth. That is Dave Lee Roth. That's why people love David Lee Roth.
Fun Dave is the best Dave.
And I'm drawing a blank on Help Me Out.
I'm the one.
I'm the one. Come on,
Show your love, BC. Show your love.
Hey, give it to
David
me.
Lee, bottom line, David Lee Roth and that era of Van Halen is untouchable in my book. Sorry.
All right. Pete.
I'm the one, man. Just so freaking cool. That's the ultimate Van Halen. That's the party band that people went to go see in backyards all over Pasadena, California. Great song. You really got me. You know what, Dylan? I bet you could pull 200 people and maybe 100 would not even know the Kinks did it. I mean, that's what Van Halen does to covers. They make them their own, and there's probably a whole generation of kids that have never even heard of the Kinks but know Van Halen does You Really Got Me. And I can't think of one cover. That's why I never mind their covers. Like, I never really complain about Diver Down because all their covers are super cool and they're totally Van Halenized. Great tune. Stay Frosty, one of my favorites off that album. Again, I have no clue why that album gets so much shade because I think it's so good.
Yeah, I definitely, and Dylan alluded to it too. I think that, if you were on board with Van Halen from the beginning, You Really Got Me is really the first solo contained in a song that you get from these guys, and it's so memorable. It's fantastic. Absolutely love it. And like you guys said, and we talked about it before, that they take a song and make it their own. And they, like, if you listen to the Kinks version and then Van Halen version, or listen to them, flip them back and forth, you'll be like, wow, just like talk about giving some nitro to a song. That was the perfect example of it. Absolutely love it. I'm the One. Just love it. Just the quintessential rockin' early Van Halen, and like Pete said, you could picture them playing this shit in someone's backyard. Going from a backyard to an arena. I don't think there's a whole lot of difference there. You could picture them very easily doing that song or any of these songs either way. Yeah. Stay Frosty. I love it. I call it Ice Cream Man 2012. It's got the stop and start, the dun dun, and the just like Ice Cream Man. There's nothing about the song that I don't like. Totally old school Van Halen on this one, and most of the stuff also on A Different Kind of Truth. And like you said, Pete, I don't understand how this album gets ripped. Actually, this song's got two solos in it, and the second one rips just as much as the first. And there's a monster ass riff after the second solo in this song. It is just a fantastic song. I can't say enough about it. There's just nothing bad about this for me. And that brings us to who? Oh, my turn.
Yep.
Okay.
Your turn. Do you want to do BB's first, or do you want to do yours?
Yeah. Let's do BB's. Let me just mark them off so I don't screw up like I usually do.
Mark me down.
Mark me down. Push comes to shove. I'll do my summarization as I go along here. This song's got a little reggae feel to it, I think. Little mellow VH, cool song. It's got some cool tempo changes in it. Picks up a little bit when the solo. It's got a little melodic thing going on there. She's the Woman, another one from Different Kind of Truth. Just a great song. I just love this stuff. I just love this album. Another one that's got a monster riff going into the solo. It's another one of those kind of takeoff solos. But if you listen to the song with the headphones on, it's really produced. There's a lot of layering in this song, which kind of turns me off a little bit to some of the stuff on A Different Kind of Truth. I think if they recorded it a little more basically with just the rhythm section in the background without the rhythm guitar, I think that is one of the main things that I like about classic Van Halen. You don't get a lot of that layering when they produce these songs. You just, you hear Ed friggin' doing his thing, and Michael and Alex in the background, just bass, drums, power trio there. Is phenomenal. I wish they did a little bit more of that on A Different Kind of Truth. And he goes back to Fire in the Hole from Van Halen 3, another Van Halen 3 song here. And I said before, there's some great guitar work on that album, but song-wise, there's just some really boring shit on there. But the solo of this one is really good too. It kind of starts out slow, but then it's got that fast picking again. He really changes the tones up in a lot of these different solos. Another really good one, solo-wise. Another one. The song is like, thank God for the solo in some of these songs, but not too bad.
I can't get through the sounds on that album, so I never get to the solo. So
BC doesn't get that far.
I don't even get to the solos on that album. I don't know. I'm sorry. And She's the Woman, classic song. Another one of my favorites off that album. And what's the other one now? I always
Push
forget
Comes to Shove.
Push Comes to Shove. Just missed my list.
All right, Pete.
Yeah, I'm with BC on this one. I don't even recall Fire in the Hole. Again, I probably listened to the album twice. She's the Woman. I've probably listened to that song 2,000 times. I mean, when it came out, I was listening to it nonstop. Still love it. Love the lyrics. Love everything about it. Push Comes to Shove. There's nothing bad on that album. Again, it's impossible not to like all these songs, and Eddie's guitar work and all of them are just fantastic. But again, she's the Woman. Just goes to show you the dude can still play after all he went through: alcoholism, drug abuse, health issues. His skills never deteriorated. That's for sure.
All right, I will go. Oh no, go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, let me talk about
Go
the
ahead.
songs. Fire in the Hole. I remember this one. It has one of my favorite Van Halen lyrics of all time in it. Word to the wisdom tooth. Don't know what that means, but
God.
Word to the wisdom tooth.
it's stuck in my head. So have to give it a open your mouth and say amen.
Yeah.
Rinse and spin, and I don't know. There's a lot going on in this song. I would say it's
What's
probably,
with the lyrics on this song? You
I
guys are
don't know.
enlightening me to some wacky lyrics.
the lyrics are the funniest thing about this song, and
Who
honestly,
wrote the majority? Who wrote? I mean, Dave wasn't here. Who wrote the lyrics for this album? The majority.
That's a good question. I will look that up as I talk
I think they
about.
let Alex write them. I'm not sure.
Let me look. Push Comes to Shove. I really enjoy it. I think it's, again, just like Pete said, there's not a bad song off of that album because it's one of the best Van Halen albums. It just is, and you could argue other ones, but I think it really is. And the third one is She's the Woman. For some reason, I always backfill Michael Anthony's vocals in that song for me, as the background vocals. I put them in my head. So the song is much better than it actually is because I have Michael Anthony's background vocals going through the...
Michael Anthony's vocals on the brain.
Yeah, but it's a good song. It's definitely the most old school feeling Van Halen song from that album, I would say. It's the one that you could really be like, oh, this is definitely from an older generation of Van Halen. But as for who wrote the lyrics on Van Halen 3, it looks like they're crediting everybody, which is weird.
They do.
Nobody wants to take sole credit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I didn't write him. You wrote it. Oh, I didn't write him. You wrote him.
But they're bad lyrics.
Yeah, there's
funny.
some odd shit going on in there. All right, we'll go to my last three here. I'll go 3, 2, 1. I got to go with Ice Cream Man. We're going to dedicate this one to the ladies. And then I like, one time, dun, dun, you get that stop and start. So this is, Stay Frosty 1979, we'll call it. I like when you get the, one time the Dave's lead into the solo, the band, the dun, dun, love that. And then it really gets going, kicks in full force. And I said it on the last one, I just love no rhythm track in the solo. It's just a power trio of Mike, Ed, and Alex. Great rocking solo. Gets me every time. Absolutely love it. And actually the lead fills at the end of the song are friggin' phenomenal too. My number 2 is I was gonna audible, but I'm not. BC had this song also, One Foot Out the Door. Just absolutely love it. Just totally kick-ass way to end Fair Warning album. My number 1, and I talked about it on the last Van Halen episode. I can't not put Hot for Teacher up there. Number 1 for me. It's it's a hit. Whatever. BC's pointed to his also, and this is one I talked about too. I cannot separate the video from the song.
Yeah. Sit down, Waldo.
Yeah, you can't not see Ed playing that solo, walking down those tables, kicking the books and shit off the table. You can't not see that when you hear this solo. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And that's another one too. There's no rhythm track in the back. I just love it. And then you have the cymbal stops and about. I have it actually timed out. That's how geeky I get sometimes. At like the 3:20 mark, and the harmonics right before that is just It's awesome. It seems a little jumbled and sloppy in the one part, but then it just friggin' kicks in. Love it. Straight up Van Halen perfection. As far as I'm concerned, this song is Van Halen. Love it. Absolutely freaking love it.
Yeah.
Dylan.
Okay. Hot for Teacher and Ice Cream Man were going to be on my list. They were on my list until you released your list, and I was like, I need to pick two different songs. Ice Cream Man, probably one of the most blistering solos, and in a song that you don't expect a blistering solo to be in. Like, it just, like, once the, like, everything cuts out and it's just the tapping, you're like, holy fuck, is this the same song we're listening to? It blows you away every time. I love it. And this song, barring the solo, is the most Dave personality song. Like, just like the little things he does, like, I tell you what it is. Mm-hmm. And the to satisfy. Like, it's so iconic.
Dave.
So iconic.
That is the Dave.
Well, Foot Out the Door, we already talked about it. It's a great song. Basically a solo of the song. And Hot for Teacher, probably the most, besides You Really Got Me in My mind, the solo that you could think of note for note. I especially love towards in the middle of the solo the
That's the part I was trying to allude to. I couldn't think of how to articulate it.
It's such a cool just
it breaks the solo up perfect.
Yeah, it does. And I love that it ends with the low notes of the and you're just like, fuck, what was that? It feels like somebody ran into the room, just beat the shit out of you, and then ran out, and then it's back to like it never happened. And it's so cool. So good picks.
Pete.
Yeah, Ice Cream Man. It's like you have no clue what's coming. I mean, it's like it's got this kind of Gene Autry-ish feel to start, and then it just kicks you right in the teeth. I mean, it's a perfect marriage of the two styles. Hot for Teacher. I like how you mentioned the word sloppy. I call it like organized chaos. It seems like it's going to go off the rails, but then he reins it right back in, sort of thing. And One Foot Out the Door, to me, it's what I call like dirty Van Halen, power Van Halen.
Ice Cream Man. If I was going to turn anybody on to Van Halen, if you didn't know Van Halen, that would be on the top 5 Van Halen songs to give somebody. Classic. Like I said, that's David Lee Roth to a T and Eddie Van Halen to a T. Hot for Teacher, again, this is my bulk list. It was there, but I stayed away from it.
I couldn't.
I mean, like you said, that's definitely when you see the video and like the little Van Halen guys. I mean, because as soon as you hear that, you see the little.
Yep.
Michael Anthony, with the sunglasses.
They casted those kids perfect.
Yeah, and we all know that one teacher. We all had one.
Oh yeah.
And of course, I had One Foot Out the Door too.
All right.
No, I already talked.
Oh, that's it. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Well, that's our list, guys. There's our the songs that we picked for today, because you could, like I said before, you could put all the names of the songs. Well, songs that like Van Halen 3 is a tough one. I know BB absolutely. I just want to throw out there, BB loves Van Halen 3. That's why we're trying to get him into rehab.
Does
Another
he
reason.
love it? I think he tolerates it.
I think he really likes it. We're gonna have to.
I think he said he likes it.
I think he said he really likes it, because that was another one that, like, you guys are nuts for hating that album. Like,
yeah.
I wish he was on that episode, because
I know, because we were talking about it last week. He absolutely loves it. And next week when we have a really, really freaking cool Van Halen episode next week. We have to remember to ask him about that on next week's thing. We'll be able to see his love for that.
Yeah.
Next week.
Show your love.
Yeah. So, like I said, there's no bad Van Halen solos. There's just different Van Halen solos. So we showed our love for them tonight, and so we'll go around the table. Pete, once again, thank you for pinch hitting for us tonight. It's always a pleasure having you on the show.
My pleasure.
Well, I won't say always, because it's only
guys.
the second time we've had you on, and I appreciate you coming in at the 11th hour today too, bailing us out here. And it's always a pleasure having you. And thanks for showing up. Give everyone the lowdown on the I Love It Loudcast, and let me tell you guys out there, their podcast is cool as shit. I love when their gears are grinded and they have a little bitch fest on the podcast. Absolutely freaking love it. Reminds me of my own self when I start bitching about things. Love it.
Yeah, I really appreciate the kind words, Stevie. We're the I Love It Loudcast. I do it with my co-host, Vinny Folletti. As a matter of fact, we have a Van Halen episode called Fantastic. It's our episode 12. It goes back a little ways where we go over our top 10 Van Halen songs. And also, we're going to be doing something a little different. We usually post every couple weeks, but now on our odd weeks, Vinny is going to be doing a podcast on his own called Podcore, your one-stop chop shop for all things super heavy. So Vinny tends to like a lot of the really, really heavy stuff that just isn't my cup of tea. And I know he's got some really good stuff lined up. He's got some great interviews lined up, but that's going to be posted on the off week. So, you can find us on Apple iTunes podcast. We're on Spotify, Podchaser, all the normal vehicles. Again, it's the I Love It Loudcast. You can also you can listen right through our Facebook page and Twitter at I Love It Loudcast. And I have very thick skin. Let me have it. If you don't agree with me, that's what makes the world go round.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Pete. It's always it's been a pleasure the 2 times you've been on so far. Hopefully it will continue to be a pleasure. Don't screw it up for us. Yeah, Van Halen. What can you say about Eddie's guitar playing? We could have even did an episode on the best Van Halen riffs, because his riffs are so iconic and just as iconic as the solos.
We can put that in the hopper.
Yeah, that could be for Vanuary too, because we could do it up to 3.
Vanuary.
And then we'll do Jannon and Children first. I don't know. But, the solos are amazing that we talked about, but there's also some really cool solos out there that we didn't get to cover because there's, honestly, every song has a little bit of a guitar gem in there from Van Halen. And you could listen to the guitar gems that we picked out from the Spotify playlist for the week, and it'll include all the songs that we talked about because, thankfully, I believe they're all on Spotify. And while you're listening to the Spotify playlist of the week, why don't you give us a review on Spotify or on Apple Music? Make sure to let us know what you think of the podcast. If you have any ideas for different show topics or for any of your 2 cents, much like Vinny, most of us have thick skin. Yeah, Vinny and Pete. I think I could speak for both of you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll take any constructive criticism, but 5-star reviews are definitely most welcome. So thanks in advance.
Pete, thanks for coming on and helping us out tonight. As always, a pleasure having you on, and love your opinion on a lot of things. And like I said, this episode, it was hard in many ways for me because how do you just pick 6? And not being a guitar player, how do you explain your 6? So, I mean, that was the hardest parts for me on this one. But hey, it's Eddie Van Halen.
And BC, again, congrats on your recent nuptials. I wish you all the best and much happiness, my friend.
Thank you.
Yes, Pete, I will reiterate what I said and what these guys said. Thanks again for coming on, and we really appreciate you pinch hitting this evening. And you guys are a must listen for me. Your guys' episodes, I have a really good time listening to them. And for those of you guys out there that don't know, or I hope you check these guys out. They literally record their episodes like 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning most times, if I'm correct. Unless myself or BC are working, I don't think any of us see 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning. And I think we recorded once at like an 8 a.m. maybe on a Sunday once or twice. That was rough. Dylan bitched the whole time. But their podcast is great. They do. They're kind of in the vein of our podcast. They have many different topics and talk about different stuff. That's not the same topic or same band every week. And good variety of topics and stuff like that. And Pete, I still love your Tubes adventure. That was fantastic. And
it didn't come true for me, man.
And it was crazy because I was talking with someone somewhere, and the tubes came up, and the dude's like, yeah, I was listening to this podcast, and this guy got up, and he said he was watching a video or something like that, and this guy got up and he did the sound check with them and stuff. I'm like that's my friend. I'm like he was talking about it on his podcast, so I think I gained you another listener there. And he was like, oh my God, he goes, that was excellent, that guy did freaking great. And I said, he explained in the podcast that Fee Bill just does not do that. It's just something that they don't do. And, when you were, must have been your bright and shining personality there. They said, we need this guy up on the stage. But,
and no backing tracks, man. That was
no
all
backing
me.
tracks. It was all Pete, all live, all day.
Catch Pete in his Vegas residency coming up later in the year.
That's right. Yes. You can be singing tubes.
I will try and fit one arm into David Lee Roth's pants.
For sure. And I could definitely sympathize with that sentiment. But like I said, once again, thank you for coming on with us. And thanks to our listeners out there. You guys are awesome out there. Thanks for sharing our episodes and interacting with us on Facebook and stuff. And it's just great. We love you guys out there. I can't believe the love we get and the places that people tune into our podcast is just incredible. And it shows that music is like a worldwide thing. You don't need to just be in the United States or wherever. We have listeners like all over and supporters. We love you guys. Keep up the good work out there. Tell your rocker friends about us. We have a good time doing this podcast. It's great. And actually, this is a couple in a row that me and BC we're just drinking iced tea tonight. We gotta get back with the. Have a couple beers on the next one, I think. BC.
Yeah, with the two words Long Island in front of it, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Stay frosty.
Stay frosty, everybody. And thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we will see you next time, and there definitely will be a next time.